Hey friends, tomorrow is Veterans Day, so what we're going to be working on today is some more two-step word problems, and our quick check is going to be next Wednesday instead of on Friday. I want to give a couple more days to practice this important skill. So remember when we can solve word problems by writing equations, and we can use a shape to stand for the unknown value. For example, there are 12 boys and 13 girls in one class. How many students are in the class in all? We can write 12 plus 13 equals, and you can do a shape. Or we also talked about how we could do a letter, and you can solve for that unknown, okay? And we talked about how we can check our answers by rounding, which is gives us a reasonable answer, or my favorite, the inverse operation. So if we're adding, then we'll check it by subtracting, or vice versa. And we can do that for multiplication and division too. Here are some of the different operations that we've been working on, like adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. Adding and multiplying is whenever we're combining parts and making a whole. The trick with multiplying, though, is the equal parts. And subtracting and dividing is when we're separating a part from a whole. So we already have our total. We're just taking some away from it. And if there are equal parts, we're going to divide it. All right, let's practice this problem. Eli loves model cars. He has 21 red model cars and 14 black model cars. He put the same number of model cars on each of the 5 shelves. How many cars did Eli put on each shelf? So what we're going to first do is go back through. Circle those important numbers, 21 and 14, and the keyword each of the 5 shelves. And each shelf is the question. How many cars did Eli put on each shelf? Okay, so to find out how many cars Eli put on each shelf, we're going to divide the total number of cars by the number of shelves. But first, we need to add to find the total number of cars. So we're going to first write and solve an equation to find the total number of cars. And we're going to use a triangle to represent the total. So we know we have 21 red and 14 black. So we're going to add to figure that out, okay? And so I know that 1 and 4 makes 5. And I know 20 plus 10 makes 30 to give me 35 equals that triangle. So now we're going to write and solve an equation to find the number of cars on each shelf. We're going to use a hexagon to represent the number of cars on each shelf. So we know that there are 35 total cars, and we're going to divide that by the number of shelves. And if we do 35 divided by 5, think how many times 5 can go into 35. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. That answer would be 7. And explain how you know that your answer is reasonable. Well, we could round, remember, or we can do the inverse operation to double check our work. So since we did 21 plus 14 equals 35, let's do it the other way. 35, work backwards, minus 14. And does that equal 21? Yes, that does. So that one's correct. And let's double check our division. 35 divided by 5 equals 7. Let's make sure that 7 times 5 equals 35. Count by 5 7 times. And yes, that does equal 35. So we can check our work by using the inverse operation. Just doing the opposite of what we did. Okay, so we know that Eli put 7 cars on each shelf. Okay, we first figured out the total number of cars, then divided that by how many shelves. So let's continue working on this some more tonight. We're going to continue working on it a little bit more next week too, because this is a hard skill and you guys are doing so well. So practice this in Schoology tonight. Get some scratch paper, make sure you're showing your work, make sure you're showing the 2 steps that you're also doing, and checking your work with your inverse operation. Okay, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye, friends.